She didn't belong to you. Leadership of a woman. Ownership. You know, feminism was started because of Black women, it was started for Black women, actually, and was taken over by white women and their views on men. And this is not going to be a bashing video. I'm not bashing anyone. I think that feminism has its place, like everything else. I think that some of their views are correct. I think some of them are not. I think that bashing a male on every aspect is definitely wrong. But there are some things that men do that are just wrong. There's some things that women do that are just wrong. But ownership of a person, you would have think this died out a couple thousand years ago. It's still alive and well today. There are people who own people right here in America. You don't believe me? Read the law. Start reading some of these crazy laws. And how these people still, how they see, Black people as we're not even people. We're not human. They see women as someone to own. They still believe this. There are men who run this country who still believe this. But they can own a woman. Then, there's the whole pushback of that. Then there's the pushback of that. The pushback is you can't own a woman. It's morally unjust. But then they go ahead and use the Bible to try to justify that. We care about you more. Then the pushback is the women who want to be owned. And that's where it all goes to pot. Because there are women who want to be owned. I've met some. They want to be what's called kept. Out. They want to be trained and kept. And you would think, that's so sick. No woman wants that. You don't. Don't speak up for every single woman because you don't know every single woman. And we have seen clear cases of this type of woman who have that very mindset. I don't want nothing to do with feminism. I don't care about women's rights. I don't want to vote. I just want to be kept. The danger in that is when they don't want to be kept anymore. Like you would think the danger in that is keeping them. Well, that depends on the extreme of kept. But in any case, they don't belong to you. See, women have the power of deceiving in droves. They can do it because you want what they have between their legs. And because you're thirsty, you can easily get fooled by thinking with the wrong head. Until you step back and look at what really is going on is you're being misled. But as long as she feeds you what you think you want, then you're like, oh, I'm okay. You're getting fed, vagina, you're getting fed food, comfort, you're getting fed all the things that you think that you need in order to feed your ego, feed your male ego, but you're being deceived the whole time. Because when it stops and you can no longer get these things from this particular person, you're going to do several things. You're going to try to take it from her. You're going to attempt, and if that doesn't work and that person is no longer there, then you're going to try to find somebody to replace that individual. And that's where you're going to run into trouble. You're going to try to mold somebody in the way of that person. And you could probably end up behind bars because of that. One wrong word, you go to do the things that you used to do to somebody else, to this person, and it's lights out. Or you just might get your lights turned out. She doesn't belong to you, no matter what she says, no matter what she wears to bed at night, no matter how submissive you think she is. She does not belong to you. She's with you by her choice and her choice alone. She's not bound by God to you, because so many people throw God right out the window. And you would think that you go to church, you're, under these morals, we got married under this clause, under this holy clause, before heaven and the angels and the Lord and, everything that's spiritual. You would think that this keeps. It doesn't. This will not keep this woman and bind her to you physically. When she chooses to be unbound, she will. Now, there are women who hold the sanctity of marriage in high regard. They're not going nowhere. And there are men who throw it out the window. But when you get two people who are equally yoked and like-minded, then that marriage just, through hell and high water, just keeps going. However, you do not belong. You do not own them. You are with them. This is a mistake a lot of people make when they go into these relationships. That is not your property, regardless of what the state says, because the state has made that up. There's some states who probably still have that. Go down to Texas. You when you get married, that's probably your property. And I'm not sure in Texas, but there are some states I know that still have that. When you get married to that woman is your property. This is why so many atrocities have been done to women, and this is one reason why they, start calamity Janing people. You can't get mad at them. It's just like, all the stuff they went through, yeah, you deserved it. But then again, there are some people who, Irene Warren's people. She just took it too far and started, knocking off men who didn't do, nothing to her. And she just started knocking them off, and, look at the movie called Monster. Then, of course, they found out, what she was doing and got rid of her. So there's an imbalance in the force, Luke. But a lot of that imbalance started off with ownership. You don't own each other. I don't care what she tells you in bed. You look her in her face and you tell her, stop that. I know I don't own you. We are both free people, although we're married to each other by state and by holy text. But I don't own you. You don't own me. We're not here by force. We're here by choice. We choose to be with each other. We weren't married because the two families came together and said, this has to happen. Even though that's the way it used to be. That's how tribes grew. You're married into them. We're together simply because we love each other and we're bound by we're bound by our love for each other. And then love is rough. It's not always roses. Not everybody's happy, and you wake up and you're not happy with what your partner did, but you love them. You try to go away for a weekend and you find yourself. Some people actually try that. They think it's healthy. I'm just going to go to, the wife is like, I'm just going to go to Susan's and I'm going to hang out with Susan, who lives like 3 doors down. Just for the day. I'm just going to spend the day over there. But, they found themselves, 2 hours later, she's right back in your face. Not necessarily hot, passionate, and kissing, but she's come back and starts cleaning up the house that's already cleaned. She can't stay away from you because in her heart, and her emotions, and her mind, it's like, I would be foolish to leave this person. It's just not going to work. We may need a break. I'll go to a coffee shop, but that's about it. I'm not going anywhere. This is why when you see people, when they get old and their partner dies, the other one dies right after them. It's like, oh, no, I'm finished. My work here is done. They don't commit suicide. They just quietly go into the good night. That's just that. They just expire. Nothing happened to them. Nothing. They lay down and they do not wake back up. It isn't tragic. It's beautiful. Because they live 40 years with and for that person under the eyes of the state and God. That's just that. They're like, I'm good. But I just wanted to talk about that because I've been listening to MGTOW. MGTOW is just angry at women, kind of. Then feminists are just angry at men. But I'm not a MGTOW person going, oh, I'm just angry at women. I believe that there's a beautiful marriage out there. I don't believe that I will be one of those people. But I'm not holding my breath and going, ooh, I just want to meet. If I met a wonderful person and it just happened to go that way, I'm fine. If I don't, I'm fine. But I will never believe that I own this woman because I've been fooled by women before. I've had women tell me all kind of stuff. And a day later, they were gone and I never saw them again. I've heard that I loves yous and I'll worship you and I'll do anything you say. I'll never tell you no, even though that was a good chick. Chick who said, I'll never tell you no. Back when I was like 20, 21, she hit on me and it just kind of, we were both poor, struggling. She had a son. And I just thought she was a very nice person. She was. But I had to move, It's like 24, I think. She's like, I'll never tell you no. And the whole time I've known her, she never told me no. Yeah. She was a nice woman. We're all struggling. And I've, met a woman told me she had worshiped me and it kind of turned me off that she told me she would worship me. I just kind of looked at her with this, and she saw the look on my face. Telling a man that you'll worship him doesn't always work. Because and I'm not going to say a real man, I'm going to say some men don't want to be worshiped because we know better. And then some men want nothing but worship. But worship is a dangerous word. Or being idolized. Those are dangerous, dangerous words to a holy person. To somebody who fears God. You don't tell them you will worship them. She said that, I was like, my immediate thought was, don't you ever tell me that. You worship the Lord. That's who you worship. But I kind of understand where you're coming from. Nevertheless, she's married to someone, and but like I said, I've heard a lot of things out of women, and you get fooled when you think with your, between your legs. You get fooled by women. Good-looking women, built, young. You'll believe it because of how attractive they are. And it's not that this woman is so attractive, only in your sight. It's like everybody knows this is a beautiful woman. And her focus is on you. And now you're changing your game. You're going to the gym more. You're knocking out push-ups. You're doing everything that you think that will make you or make her stay with you. But none of those things are actually the reason. Yeah, but none of those things, how you doing? But none of those things are actually the reason why she's with you. Like, she wasn't with you because you knock out 1,000 push-ups. That's just a perk. All of a sudden you're knocking out 1,000 push-ups. That's just a perk. It's just like, okay, now you getting in shape. I see you. That makes you more attractive in her eyes. But the thing that actually attracted her to you wasn't the fact that you knock out 1,000 push-ups. Because you didn't do that when she first got there. You were probably fat. You're probably a big, doughy, lump of cheese who knew how to philosophize, who knew philosophers. And she didn't know anything about philosophers. Where she comes from, philosophy is a waste of time. Where you come from, philosophy is time. And once you started showing her this, and it changed her, and it worked. She just started listening to you like, you talk this way in my hood, you get beat up. Be like, this is why I don't live in your hood. Welcome to mine. Do you want to stay where you're from, or do you want to come to where I'm at? And she moves to where you're at. Happens all the time. So, but you never own her. Now that you're going to the gym, you're doing all this stuff, and you guys are going good, then all of a sudden something goes awry and she leaves. You can't just reach out, snatch her by her neck and say, you're not going nowhere. You do, you're going to have several issues. Going from the mild to the very extreme. The mild is you have to sleep with this person. You'll be sleeping with one eye open. The extreme is you don't wake up. Now, vice versa, women, on the other hand, they don't own the men and they think they do. So you can get a woman who will do her best to block every other woman from getting to you. She will demarcate her territory. If you don't know what demarcation is, just look it up on Animal Kingdom. She will demarcate that territory. And you will suddenly feel the ownership that she's placing upon you. When she talks to you, she'll always look at you in your eyes. Sometimes very closely. The hood is the hood where the ghetto, where Black people live. No, the hood is where you come from as a neighborhood. A ghetto is a place that's ghetto. It's deemed ghetto because of the financial depression that is within that area. It has nothing to do with black people because there are plenty of poor white people who live in white ghettos. But the hood is wherever hood you came from. If you lived in Beverly Hills, that is your neighborhood. That is your hood. But nonetheless, if you ever saw a woman try to claim ownership on a man, like I said, sometimes she'll speak to you very calmly, very closely. And you already know that this is not an act of endearment. This is almost a threat. And she's not threatening you. She's just talking to you very quietly, unusually so. It's not a threat. It's not a verbal threat to you, but it's a you make a wrong move and I'm going to go from 0 to 100 real quick. I've seen that before. You know, I've had a woman chase me around in my car and she's behind me in her car. We're on the same page. Are we? Okay. Yeah. Okay. You know, the word hood, so Robin Hood robbed from, he didn't rob from King Richard the Lionheart. He was Robin Hood of Locksley. He was Robin of Locksley. They called him Robin Hood because he had a hood and he went around robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. So then the term hood became wrong, like a bad thing. You're a hoodwinked, and you know all this. That actually came from a white person, but whenever you say somebody is hood, it's deemed for a black person. It actually came from a white person. Robin Hood, as in Robin the Hood, but he was actually Robin of Locksley. Locksley is where he came from. Just a little scenario how things are easily turned around. We quickly forget. But I just wanted to speak on some of those things. And when I speak on men and women and the relationships, I'm speaking on what I went through. Sometimes I speak on what I've seen, but I've had a lot of relationships where I've seen women try to flip the script on me and try to take a role that is more masculine or is more dominant. And they wasn't trying to call me, like a punk or a sissy or something. They were trying to put a stamp on me or some kind of way, whether it's between their legs or between their head, or whether it's in their pocketbooks. They were trying to do something to stamp me, to make me feel like you belong to me. But nonetheless, they weren't trying to exactly keep me. They would try to keep me for the moment. Hey, what's going on, Red? They weren't trying to keep me. They were keeping me for the moment. So, okay, I was dating a young lady who, I loved her. She loved me. And I was dating a couple women at the same time, because none of them I trusted, and they were all messing around with, they were just all doing whatever. And once I start seeing that they were untrustworthy, I would never dedicate myself to them. Like, I can have fun with you. You come around, we can go eat, and, do all that other stuff. Well, one day, the one was over my house, and I wanted to have sex with her. A beautiful chocolate woman, and she was acting like she didn't want to be touched. But yet you're in my house, you know what I'm saying? And I never had a lot of money, but, the affection game is me. That's what I'm good at. Not necessarily sex, but the affection, just showing affection, that's what I'm good at. But nonetheless, so we in the bedroom, and I'm trying to, grab her around her waist because I'm sitting down, she's standing up, and I'm trying to show her affection. And she's all, so eventually, I don't try to take anything. Eventually I stopped. I was like, okay. I just kind of looked at her like, then my phone rang. So I answered the phone because you're acting funny. And I'm not going to sit up here and try to take it from you. You know, I'm good. you you must have forgot where you're at or whose house you're in. And she knows me. So I don't know why she would come over and act this way. You know, I just don't. But nonetheless, she tried me. And I was like, all right. So my phone rang and I answered it. And I was like, hello. And she heard another woman's voice. She actually knew who the other woman was. And the other woman asked me what I was doing. And I was like, you know, I'm just sitting here, you know, I got company. I'm just sitting here and talking. Immediately, her immediate reaction, she jumped right on me. Started kissing me and everything, wanted to like screw me while this girl was on the phone. Because she knows I will drop you off back home and go somewhere else. I'm not going to put up with this. I'm just not. I don't have to. Never do I have to put up with your nonsense. And I spoke to the girl, and she didn't, you know, the thing about it was she didn't even tell me to hang up the phone. She enjoyed the fact that this other woman was on the phone while she was with me. It's weird, isn't it? You would think that this Black woman would be all, It turned her on. It was the complete opposite. This is why I'm saying that the relationships that we get into, we think we know the other person. Because we look at other people's relationship and we try to gauge them into our relationship. But that relationship that you have with somebody is completely you and them. You may be off your rocker and she may be more off of her rocker. You guys may be, you know, just off the rocker together, but that's your off the rocker relationship. And you can't really say because the Joneses did this, we're going to do this. It just doesn't work. Now, eventually I stopped dealing with both those two because they were both a little too much for me. And my appetite changed. I wasn't really into the whole, I would just want to sleep around. And, you know, of course, I started looking for somebody to actually be with, and neither one of them were suited to be with. You know, they had their idiosyncrasies that I just couldn't see myself living with. So I left them alone. You know, it took years, you know, but eventually you just grow tired of certain things and you peel out. But we do not own each other. I had a woman chase me down in like I'm driving, she's behind me. Had a little four banger, this poor little car. You hear the little tires squeak. I pull up in the gas station and she pulls up behind me. I go in the gas station, she's right on me. Like, you know how the door opens and slides and then it closes after you come in? No, it went, shh, shh. You're right behind me. And immediately I'm thinking, if this chick hits me, I'm going to jail. So my reaction is not to get loud. My reaction is to try to calm the whole situation down. It's like talking somebody down from the, you know, don't jump. You know, you don't yell at them, hey, stupid. You know, you're just like, hey, let's talk about this. That's exactly what I did. You better. I'm like, look, man, I don't want to, like, don't hit me. She's like this close to me. Like, don't hit me. You know what I'm saying? We're all on camera, like, calm down. It'll be. So eventually, you know, we went back to my apartment and calmed her down. And I did not sleep with her that night. As a matter of fact, that was the problem. Sleeping with her. So eventually I stopped. But I was still friends with her. But she would ask me to sleep with her, and I'd be like, no, you're crazy. I'm not going to be your man because I know you're off your rocker. And you don't want to do what you're supposed to. And I just told her that. I know you're not. Like one time she sat outside my door and cried for 2 hours. And I wouldn't open the door. Plus, she was known for, I'm going to call the police. And she threatened my life one day. I got to stop dealing with you. You're just, like, I believe you. Like, I believe when you say you're going to kill somebody, I believe. Like, I don't want no part of that. You know, you're highly jealous, but nonetheless, you want to go and have one night stands with other men. Can't do that. So, all that crying didn't fool me. I wasn't fooled by the big booty and the crying and the only reason why I let her in is because I didn't want the police coming to my door. But, I took her home. It's just like, so I'm just saying, I've been through some crazy stuff with women, and not all of them are bad. There's some of them are great. It just wasn't for me. But I like to talk about these situations because the younger people who listen to my channel, they, like, men are easily fooled because we're horny. Men are easily misled because of their horniness. But not only that, they're misled because of society. Society will tell you that you have to go out and buy this woman a $20,000 ring in order to make her happy, when that's not even close to being true. In order to make her happy, you need to listen to her. Just listen to her. That doesn't mean do what she says. That means talk to her and communicate with her. If she's not totally ridiculous, you might have yourself a nice mate. You might have yourself somebody who, you can raise some children with. Jealousy is highly dangerous. Jealousy is what got Steve McNair killed, and stupidity. Was it Steve McNair? Not Steve McNair. Who was that quarterback? Not Steve McNair. It was some quarterback for, I can see his face. But anyways, but jealousy is a real thing. I have been so highly jealous of a woman that wasn't even my girlfriend. I was just, sleeping with her, and our spirits were combined, and that spirit wanted more and more of what we were doing, and it kept saying, we, until I realized that the spirit itself wasn't talking about we as in me. It was talking about that spirit and all the spirits that run with that spirit. I was not part of the we. I was just the body that was giving the spirit what it wanted. So the spirit was convincing me that this woman was worth chasing, and she wasn't. It took me a very, very, very long time to realize that. Sometimes the spirit will say, I. And I was just, and then I'd be like, you what? Because I realized that you're not me. I like to do this, and you hear that in your head. I like to do this, and you start going, I like to do this. That's a spirit telling you what it likes, and then you agree to it. Then you go out and do it, and you're just like, why am I doing this? You're doing it because the spirit said you like to do it, and you agreed to it. I like to go dancing, in a dive bar with a bunch of tattooed crazies and girls, naked and stuff like that. You don't like to do that. It's a spirit that likes the atmosphere. Next thing you know, you're getting your teeth beat in because you're in a place that you didn't belong. You can't go from Mount Man or Clark Kent to Superman and expect something not to happen to you. So, yes, but jealousy is a real thing. I've been so jealous and so crazed out of my mind before that I had, I just did stupid things. Yeah. You know, a lot of those demons come through sex. You know, they jump from one person's eyes into another. Next thing you know, they're in your body telling you that you need to have sex with this person all the time. And then when that person leaves or you're separated for some odd reason, you're going, I miss you. You don't miss that person. The spirit misses that person. The two spirits that were doing what you weren't supposed to do miss each other. But you don't miss that person. I can't live without you. Yes, you can. Let somebody put you in a box somewhere in Siberia and let this other person, not be in the same box, and you'll be doing just fine. They'll be over there and you'll be over here. Now, there's not always a bad case of I can't live without you. There are just some people who are mates, and that's just it. There are people who are the same sex who are mates, and it's not a sexual thing. There are just some guys who are just best friends, and there's nothing you can do about that. That is their best friend. That is it. And there are women, it's the same thing. It's not a sexual, lesbian thing. They're just best friends. And it's just the way it is. They are never going to be not best friends. They're going to fight and curse and scream, but they're always going to be best friends, and that's just that. That is a spirit of camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? That spirit can be dangerous depending on what you're doing, and not so much. And it could be actually beneficial to you. Depends on the service. If you're going out and you're robbing people, well, but if you're going out and you're doing the work of the Lord, that's a whole different thing. God might put somebody in your way just so you can be like, this is my new best friend. And he might even tell you, this is your new best friend. And everything you guys have been doing on your own, now you're doing together. We have to be careful who we deal with. We get to know them first. It's true. Sometimes people put a time stamp on getting to know someone. How long is it before, I let them see the real me? And then we try to go through all these phony laws 30 days before I let him know that, but if you let him know too soon, he'll take off on you. If you let her see your toes too soon, she'll be like, oh my God, boy, that big toe. Oh man, I can't deal with your big toe. Some people can't deal with a bad big toe. They'll be like, I just can't do it. But even these Instagram, models tricking off on Instagram, you can find a flaw. You find a flaw in them, you get to talking to them long enough. Everybody has them. That's what makes us human. There's something wrong with you. Wouldn't you like to start a conversation off with somebody you don't know and say, okay, so what's wrong with you? Anyways, you don't own her. Just hope some people get an understanding of that. We don't own each other. We are not each other's property. We're not each other's property. like that little jam. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Title of that is going to be called So We Said Yes. I got paper due today. I finished one yesterday. I finished it. Then I'm going to start my math. I'm going to do math for 2 days because I got a test Monday. Got a subscriber.